Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, in reply to the debate on economy in Parliament, has once again claimed that there is nothing wrong in the economy. It is only a transitory phenomena, it is only a temporary phenomena. There is no serious problem with the economic slowdown. This is what the government of India claims. But on the contrary, the official data released by the National Statistics Office revealed that the second quarter GDP still remains very low. In fact, it has further fallen. So, in the first quarter of the financial year 2019-20, that is during April-June 2019, the GDP grew by 5%. But in the July to September 2019, the GDP growth rate was even less, 4.5%. So, that shows that the entire off year, the growth rate of GDP is less than 5%. So, the year may end up having not more than 5% growth rate. So, government still talks about the $5 trillion economy. The recent Niti Aayog report has clearly stated that India has to register a nominal GDP growth rate of at least 12% to achieve the $5 trillion dream. So, the question of the $5 trillion dream is a simply fallacy, and the statistics reveal that. So, why the GDP continues to fall? This is the fundamental question. So, if you look at the sectoral wise, agriculture grew by 2.08% in the Q2, that is between July to September. In April to June also, the agriculture growth rate was meager 2% only. So, with around 49% of Indians depend on agriculture for their livelihoods. So, if 50% of the country's population depend on a sector and that sector grows at 2%, which is a very, very negligible growth of rate, how can the country's economy be in a better shape? So, the industrial sector grew by 0.52%. Manufacturing sector grew by 1%. This is perhaps the lowest. So, the second quarter growth rates in this year is the 6.5 year low. The last time we saw such a low level of growth rate was in January to March 2013. So, the economy during the second half of the Manmohan Singh regime, which Modi described as a period of policy paralysis, grew by 4.3%. So, today, the second quarter of the financial year, 4.5% is comparable with the Manmohan Singh regime's worst growth performance of 4.3% between January-March 2013. So, the then leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Narendra Modi, accused Manmohan Singh of policy paralysis. Then is it not a policy paralysis today? So, why the Prime Minister refuses to acknowledge that something seriously wrong with the economy? Look at the gross fixed capital formation. Gross fixed capital formation is an indication of the level of investment activity in the economy. So, gross fixed capital formation has grown by only 1%. That means there is no investment coming in the economy. So, you are relaxing norms for the foreign direct investment, you are relaxing labor laws for the private sector, you are giving corporate tax cuts to the private sector. So, there is over 1.5 lakh crore corporate tax cuts has been given. But still investment is not picking up. There are no signs of investment picking up also. So, we have been telling that this policy of incentives to the corporate sector is absolutely wrong policy. The reason is the problem is not because of supply. The problem is a demand problem. So, what do you mean by demand problem? So, there are two kinds of problems in the economy. Problem one is there are people to buy, but there are no goods and services supplied. So, this is called the supply side problem. The second problem is there are supplies and there can be supply of goods and services, but there are no people to buy. So, today the problem is the second one. It is called the demand constraint in the economy. So, what should you do? When there is a pain in the leg, you will not treat the head. So, you will treat the leg only. So, if you go to a physiotherapist, he will treat the leg. So, but the problem here is when the problem lies with the demand, when the problem lies with the low purchasing power, when the problem lies with the falling levels of employment, where according to the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, CMIA data, unemployment has risen by 15 lakh People lost their jobs during demonetization. The study by the Periodic Labour Survey of the Government of India reveals that unemployment is at a rate of 45-year high. So there is a problem of falling wages. The real wages are declining. Joblessness is increasing. Job losses are increasing, including the sectors like information technology are reporting job losses. So the problem is low wages, low employment, and thereby low purchasing power, low demand in the economy. What the government is doing? Government is giving supply side incentives. The argument of the government is if I reduce the tax, corporate tax to the industry by 10%, they will invest. This is a fallacious argument, because why will a corporate industry will invest when there is nobody to buy? They will invest in production, they will invest and produce more when there are people to buy their goods and services. So on the contrary, you are giving them tax cuts. So ultimately that money will be used to clear the debts. So clear the credit they have taken, but they will not invest in the economy. So investment comes only when there is a demand. Investment doesn't come through incentives. Incentives will only increase the revenue of the companies. So obviously companies will save more, and that saving may be diverted to clear the debt, but they will not certainly invest or expand the capacity when there is no demand in the economy. So even the services sector, a service sector has grown by 6.8%. It looks fairly good, but between 2014 and 17, services sector has actually grew by over 9%. So when compared to the 14-17 data, even the services sector growth rate has also fallen. If you look at the services sector, the employment-oriented productive sectors, which will add productivity to the economy, like trade, like financial services, they are declining. So what is increasing is public administration defense. When the interesting part of the calculation of GDP is whatever government spends, whether on the salaries of employees, whether on the sectors like defense, that will also be added to GDP. This is called government final consumption expenditure. So it's not a real productivity in the economy. If you remove this government final consumption expenditure from the national income, the GDP growth rate was little over 3% only. It will not even be 4.5%, because government final consumption expenditure is only a technical addition to the national income, but it will not really create productivity in the economy. So unfortunately today, even when the growth is decelerating, when joblessness is increasing, the government refuses to acknowledge the problem and boost the private consumption expenditure. So today the challenge in the economy is we have to boost the consumption expenditure. We should create confidence in the people to spend on buying goods and services. We should create income to the people so that they can spend on buying goods and services. Unless that is restored, you can't really kickstart the economy. Any amount of corporate incentives will nothing but be appropriation of money from the ordinary Indians to the corporate India.